You know, when most people think about retirement, they're picturing a beach, maybe a good book. Well, this guy's plan? At 72 years old, after already putting in 2 decades of service, he's jumping back into the political arena for one last fight. We're about to break down one of the most unbelievable political comeback stories you will ever hear.
I mean, this is the whole question, isn't it? Is it even possible to win an election after you've already had the retirement party? You're basically asking voters who said thanks for your service to now say, please come back and do it again. It is the ultimate political long shot.
22. Just let that number sink in. That's how many years this man walked into the Georgia state capitol. For 22 straight years, he was in the political trenches, fighting the exact same battle, day after day.
And what about today? Well, he's 72. That's not just retirement age. That is, I've earned the right to do absolutely nothing age. But for him, nope. Retirement is officially over.
Because, see, this isn't just about winning an election for him. This is about finishing a battle he started what feels like a lifetime ago. This is his final round.
This is the absolutely wild story of Roger Bruce. His entire legacy is now riding on one single runoff election. We are going to break down the 20-year losing streak that defined his career, the one massive win that literally put a brand new city on the map, and the final fight he's in right now. If you love a great underdog story, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button because we are diving in.
So how in the world does a kid from Harlem end up becoming a political legend in Georgia? Well, his story doesn't start in some fancy law school. It starts with a journey down south that would end up defining the entire course of his life.
Okay, so his origin story is everything. He wasn't some political insider born with a silver spoon. He was the very first person in his family to graduate from college. But his real education? That came from interning with an Atlanta icon, Mayor Maynard Jackson, the man who literally wrote the playbook on fighting for minority-owned businesses. That internship wasn't just a line on a resume, it became his life's mission. And in 2003, he took that mission to the state capitol.
But the moment he got to the Capitol, he ran smack into a brick wall. And for the next 2 decades, he would just slam his head against that wall, fighting for one single cause. And, for the most part, losing. And here it is. This right here is the villain of our story. Just look at this disparity. Nearly half of Georgia's population is minority, but they were getting a measly 5% of the state's business contracts. To Roger Bruce, this wasn't just a number on a spreadsheet. This was a robbery happening in plain sight. And he was going to try and stop it.
So, why couldn't he fix it? Well, because passing a law in Georgia is like playing a video game on the hardest difficulty setting imaginable. Your bill has to survive introductions, floor votes, and the infamous committee death trap, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. For 20 years, Bruce's bills were sent to this political graveyard again and again. But every single time his bill died, he just came back the next year ready for another round.
So why on earth didn't he just give up? This quote right here, it nails it. The very people he was fighting for called him a tireless warrior. He wasn't in it for the glory. He was in it for fairness. And that absolute refusal to quit, even after 20 years of getting knocked down, that's who he is at his core. But here's the twist. While he was waging that long, frustrating, and mostly losing battle, he was also working on something else. Something huge. Something that would literally change the map of Georgia forever.
Look, most politicians spend their time arguing about potholes and budgets. Very, very few get to play SimCity in real life. Creating a city from nothing is a massive political achievement. It's one of the biggest moves a lawmaker can possibly make. And Roger Bruce actually pulled it off. He co-authored the bill that created the City of South Fulton. Think about that. He didn't just represent a district, he literally built one. He went from being a lawmaker to a founding father. And for his work, the city he built gave him its highest possible honor, the key to the city. So, after a 22-year career with a legacy literally carved into the state of Georgia, he retired. Perfect ending to the story, right?
Wrong. He's back. And he's not just running for his old job. Oh no, he's leveling up, running for the state senate. But this time, he's the underdog.
These are the actual numbers from the first round of voting. He came in second, which forced this head-to-head runoff. You see that gap between the bars? That is the mountain he has to climb.
So, this is the final showdown. A retired legend coming back for a more powerful Senate seat where he might, just might, finally win that 20-year-old fight.
And he's not coming back alone. He's got a former governor backing his play.
Which brings us right back to this. The man has fought the losing battles, he's won the impossible victories, he has literally built a city. The only question left is, will the voters give this 72-year-old warrior one last round? We're all going to find out on December 16th.